So quickly, thanks for coming to my talk. I only have 10 minutes for this. Um, but if anybody wants a name tag, I love name tags. I'm old school like that. Hit me up. I got a whole roll of them and a marker. Happy to give you one. That's unrelated to the talk. Very happy to be here. This is the theater where I saw like a bunch of movies. I used to live 4 blocks from here, and super happy to be back in San Francisco. But I live in Chicago these days, and I've been a developer advocate since 2016ish. Worked for a company called Pantheon when I got started in this game. Very very excited and passionate about tech, but I also like things like rock and roll, which wasn't on the broadcast. But before, I was talking about one of the bands from Oakland. Um, Hit me up about improv, karaoke, anything like related to rock and roll. Happy to talk to you about that stuff. And hit me up on Twitter. And I didn't put it on this one, but I'm also on Mastodon. Dwayne at MC Dwayne at mastodon.social. Quick question: who here is a developer? Would say they call themselves a developer? Awesome. This talk really is for you. Who here is a security operations professional? Awesome. Who here is in marketing and just happened to wander in here? There's a couple people. Any other titles I missed? Anything you think like, hey, you should know about my title? Just shout it out. I can't see you. Auditor? Awesome. Thanks for being here. Architect. Oh, yeah. I would put you in the dev camp, but yes, definitely. What's that? Sales? Perfect. Thank you for being here at this talk. So, I think no matter what your title is, we can all agree this is a dumb idea. You can have the best security in the planet. You can build up your defensive walls all day, build moats, whatever. But if you put a key to the front door out there, people are going to get in. And of course, we're not going to do that. That's dumb, right? But we do this all the time. I did this 2 weeks ago working on a CLI. Not even joking. Like I had to just test the API endpoint worked, and it did. And then it's, oh, I got to do this real quick. Oh, and then I got a Slack message from a boss, and then I got this other thing to work on. And by the time I go to commit this, I forgot that I put this in here, and then it makes its way out to the world. I work for a company called GitGuardian. Didn't mention it earlier. We got a booth over in AppSec Village, the Resume Village. So go over there and talk to us about stuff. But we put this report out every year. Last year we found 10 million secrets just hanging out in GitHub public repos. That's just GitHub public. We didn't look anywhere else, or at least not in the report. This is a huge increase over the previous year, and it's growing faster than the growth of GitHub. So it's not just newbies. It's not just people coming on for the first time and not knowing what they're doing. This is affecting very large companies out there. We could go through all of these breaches, and I'm happy to talk to you about any of these in depth. And we have blog posts about all of those. That's what it links to. I'll share the slides out on Twitter after this. So it's not just new people. It's people of all ranges. So how do we fix this? Well, there's a number of approaches, but I think the core approach is to let's start using a tool we already use in a slightly different way than you might be already using it. Who here uses Git? Anybody SVN? Get out of here. You're not allowed in here. I'm kidding. Everybody's welcome. But Git is the stupid content tracker. This is what Gitster and Linus called it. If you type man Git, that's what you get up on the screen. Because it's dumb, but it's also really efficient. It takes an entire snapshot of the working directory at any given time. Every time you do a git add, it's like, let's take all those files and compress them down with zlib, compress them down, push them into an index as a compressed file, and then when you commit that, it commits that through this chain of commits. So your entire history is your entire history. That's the magic of Git, that you can go back in time at any point and check out that particular reality. But that also means that it's always there. So if you add a secret and then take it back out, and just in the next commit, it's still there because you didn't take it out. You need to actually execute and destroy that commit. And that's just painful. And there's ways to avoid putting it in there, like git ignore, which is awesome, except I don't have enough time to play the guessing game. But yeah, see, I accidentally commented out env file. So now I'm committing my env file, and now I'm gonna share my secrets with the world. And there are awesome solutions out there everyone should be using. Everyone should be using at least HashiCorp Vault or Doppler or something like that. Or if you're using a platform for your tooling, something like Azure Key Vault or AWS's version of it, or GCP's version of it, or fill in the blanks version of it, or even on server env files. And if we'd all just do these two things consistently, that would be it. I wouldn't have to do this talk anymore, and we could go about my life, and I could do something else with my brain. But we keep doing this, and it's not that we tested the secret. I'm not here to shame anyone, because again, I did this 2 weeks ago. This problem is that we then commit and push that secret out to the world. Once it's out there, well, then it's a really bad time, because when we have to surgically remove it, coordinate with the rest of the team, communicate with everyone else that could have touched that repo. But if we can catch it before we even commit it, we don't really have a problem, because we caught it locally. That's what happened to me. I caught it locally because I had a robot that does this. So how did I get that robot to work? Well, Git gives us a way. There's this awesome automation platform that Linus built in because he wanted a way to execute scripts when certain things happened. I think of it as a Rube Goldberg building device because it's any arbitrary script you want to build. Git hooks, there are 17 along the way. If you take nothing else away from this entire talk, go to githooks.com. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Thank you very much, Matt Hudson, for doing your work. But there are 17 you can hook into. So pre-commit, prepare commit message, and commit message all happen before the commit actually finishes. So if you can tell a script in the middle of that, hey, look for a secret and stop it there, then it doesn't get committed. But it's just a script. So if you're not familiar with Git hooks, they're just scripts. I love Bash. I'm a huge Bash nerd. But if you want Python or PHP for some reason, or Ruby, or whatever executable environment you have, you can tap into that. This is real. Thanks Ed Thompson from NPM and GitHub Actions, who wrote Git Dad, which substitutes Git Dad for Git Add and tells you a dad joke along the way. That's where I stole the code, which is just a curl. But if we're going to build what I just talked about with that robot, it would look something kind of like this. Git grep. Who here likes Git grep? Anybody know about this? Inside of Git, they built grep. It's just bash grep, but it limits what it's looking at the index and things that Git knows about. So it resolves that entire problem of how do I use grep to look at a thing? It just looks there. That's just what it does. Anyway, so we tell it, hey, look at this arbitrary bit of regex, because everybody loves writing regex, right? Exactly, all of it. I just found out ChatGPT can write fairly good regex, and it changed my life. Anyway, so we can build this all day, but then we have a few things to worry about. What all the use cases I need to deal with? What about examples? What about test files? What about this? What about that? And then I have to maintain it. Unless this is your full-time job to build this thing, this is a lot of work. Ain't nobody got time for that. So there's some open source people that already built this. It's already there. The code I showed you earlier is taken from, well, it's modified, but taken from Git Secrets by AWS Labs. 100% open source. Go grab it. And if you live, breathe, and all of your life is in AWS. I'm feeling like I'm out on a pogo. But it's not officially supported. It's written by somebody on the team who put it out there for free as an example. And people have extended it. You can go find for Google and Azure and other things. There's a company, Trufflehog. They're actually here as well. They are built open source first, and they have enterprise option these days. Their core tool, as far as I can tell, requires use the pre-commit framework, which is a Python framework that builds pre-commit hooks. It's a cool tool on its own, nothing against it. Just know that you have that extra layer of stuff. We at GitGuardian make GG Shield, which is an open source tool. It does require platform usage to actually do the scanning and the brains behind it, but you can get a free account. There are other tools like GitLeaks out there that do the same thing. So you're not on your own building this thing or running this thing or installing this thing. In the case of GG Shield, which is the one that saved me, because that's what I run, because I work for these guys, it was 3 lines. 1 to install it, 1 to authenticate, 1 to put the hook in place. I don't think about it anymore. It's just a global hook. Every time I do a commit, it always checks. Every time. Even if I don't want it to, which your mileage may vary. You can always skip a hook if you want. You shouldn't skip hooks. You put them in place for a reason. What does that look like in action? It looks like this. Hey, I got a secret over here. I go make a commit. Hey, this looks like that now. failed. Didn't give me the error, or it doesn't give me a commit. Now I can fix it. My security team's happy with me because I didn't commit it. I don't have to do surgical removal of the Git repo later and all that surgery. So in conclusion, it's only 10 minutes. Don't hard code your secrets. If you just stop doing that, then the rest of this talk you can ignore. Don't commit your secrets, but yeah, we're human beings. Let's just be honest. Use automation to your advantage. Git builds in hooks. You can do anything with it, so why not do security with it? If I had more time, we could talk about all the other things you could plug in with Git hooks, like anything, any test suite you ever wanted that you can run from a CLI. But that's my talk, and I'm out of time, unfortunately. So, questions? How do you make sure people install this? Well, that's a good question. There's the other side of this is the detection side of secrets in your environment. And there are a suite of tools out there. We're one of them. And if you end up with secrets getting pushed by a developer, then you know they didn't use it. That's the short answer. If secrets show up and you have this strategy in place, then you know who has accepted it and who hasn't in their workflows. That's other than that, it's just asking, onboarding. This is one of the reasons I personally love cloud development environments, is because you can pre-install them there. And you can just give your developer, like, here's a URL, everything you need, including the Git hooks, already there. Other quick questions? Oh, cool. Yeah. Great question. How does this differ from HashiCorp Vault or the other tools? Those are secret managers. So Vault is a tool to store, properly store, and then programmatically call your credentials programmatically. So instead of password equals whatever your password is, password equals vault dot something dot whatever you called your secret, and it will source it in. So when your code leaks, because it's not if, when your code leaks, hacker or the attacker will see, okay, they use Vault. I'm not even going to bother with this. Let's just go on to something else. There's got to be a better way to get in. Can you do it on the server side? Absolutely. So back on hooks, pre-receive. Yeah, pre-receive is a hook that runs on the server side in Git, and this is like out of the Git book. So pre-receive is a hook that runs on the server side that will do whatever the script says. You can install Git, GG Shield, I think Git secrets out of in AWS for sure. You can set up as pre-receive hooks, and it will check the commit before it actually gets sent. And if it's anything in there, it'll just shut it down. I can't hear you, man. Sorry. Well, this is the thing. It is a developer tool because they're using Git locally. So this is going to be dependent on the developer. But again, you can hook this in if you're starting to go down the cloud development environment route. You can pre-build it in there for your developers you're onboarding or per project. But yeah, there's not a way to like globally, unless you can globally enforce developer tools on all your developer machines. If you can do that, then you can do this. But if you don't have that superpower, I don't know how you do that. The question was, why isn't this automatically integrated into an IDE? That's a great question. But I think that same question can be asked about a lot of technology that I like. It's like the linting question all over again. Like linting's the best idea until it's not, and then you work around it, and then your code gets messy.
One more question.
One more?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I got time for one more. You just told me.
If not,
well, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate you being here. Have a great rest of your B-sides.